Hey, I'm Chuck Bauman, and I have been a life and air coach for a while. Was one of the original Titanium members, and I want to talk to you today about the difference between being an employee and being an entrepreneur. Um, One of the things that I think a lot of people in life and air do is they either have a job and they build their side gig up to the point where they can quit their job, or they jump out of a job and build a business. So a lot of you have had that experience and came from an employee background. And I personally believe one of the most difficult transitions in the world is the transition from employee to entrepreneur. And I want to talk about it for just a minute about why I believe that. So when you're an employee, you really can't control how much money you make. It's very difficult you're going to get raises, you may get a promotion occasionally, but it's very difficult to control that. It's not as easy to raise your salary as it is to raise your revenue as an entrepreneur. So the longer you're an employee, the more you get used to sort of a certain amount of money. Now, if you look at an employee who's consistently getting the same paycheck, what they have left, their disposable income, is the difference between what their paycheck is and what their bills are, if that makes sense. So the cash available to spend is really salary minus bills. That's the way I think most people who have a paycheck think. So the key, if you're an employee, to having wealth is to save money. It's really the only path, if you're an employee, to wealth, is how much money can I save? So wealth building for employees is really about minimizing the amount of bills they have, minimizing expenses. If you can minimize what you spend and you can save more, then your wealth increases faster. Now, many of you have transitioned from that model to a model of, oh, I've got a side gig, and if my side gig throws off money, that can help me increase my wealth faster. But you often don't change the mindset as they move from employee to entrepreneur. And it really, really, really slows down the wealth building process if you don't make the transition. So let's talk about how an entrepreneur's life looks. Number one, and I stole this from Ken Holmes, one of the other life and air coaches, lifestyle is equal to the assets managed times your return on investment, in parentheses, minus your taxes. Now, assets managed could be employees, it could be volunteers, it could be money, it could be houses, it could be anything. But when you're an entrepreneur, your lifestyle is equal to the assets managed times ROI, in parentheses, minus taxes. So let's talk about the entrepreneur who goes out and changes out their own toilets to save money. It's a perfect example. That's nowhere in that lifestyle equation. Saving money is an employee thought. So I want you to look. When you're an employee, saving money is the key to wealth. But if you look at the formula, if you write this formula down, lifestyle equals, parentheses, assets managed times return on investments, close paren, minus taxes. Nowhere in there is the secret to wealth involves saving money. As a matter of fact, a real entrepreneur doesn't think of that way. A real entrepreneur doesn't really have expenses. They have investments, and their investments make them money. So let's take the landlord, or say, who goes out and consistently does work for themselves because it, quote, saves them money. What could they be doing with that time? Is they could be acquiring more properties, doing things that pay them a much higher dollar per hour rate. But instead, they're locked into the employee mentality that if they save money, it's going to create wealth. And you can't save enough money as a landlord, let's say, to make a difference. But you could build a business in the time you spent saving money if you spent that money in a way that got you a return on investment. So let me give you an example. Let's say you, in order to live your vision, you need to make $300 an hour. You don't make $300 an hour changing a toilet. You might make 70. If you're lucky, if you do it really well, you might make $75. But if I paid somebody $75 to put that toilet in, I got that hour back. During that hour, if I could find me another property, if I could operate at that higher level, I might be able to increase my income, right? And if I increase my income, that's what I'm looking for. So my return on investment for the money I spent to have the toilet replaced could be 3 or 4 to 1. People don't want to they don't want to hire a bookkeeper because it, quote, they're saving money. But if you took the amount of time it takes you to do the books, and you did something that pays you $500 an hour, then the return on investment is great. So if you go back to that formula, those are not expenses. Those are investments. It's an investment in a bookkeeper. It's an investment in a plumber. It's an investment in a virtual assistant. And as long as that investment pays you more than a return of your money, then you're making money. And you're making money by spending money, investing money in different things. Now, you don't want a negative asset. You don't want a return on investment that's lower than 1. You spend $1, you got 80 cents back. So you've got to be a good investor. But look at the difference in the mindset. An employee thinks an employee's right when they think the only way they can create any wealth is by saving money. But that's not true for entrepreneurs. You don't make money when you save money. You make money when you invest money, and you get a great rate of return. That's how you build wealth as an entrepreneur. And you've got to change your mind. You've got to make that shift. Many people I see never make that shift. So hopefully that makes sense to you. The difference between an investment and expense is the difference between being an employee and being an entrepreneur. Entrepreneurs make investments. Employees they have bills. So let's talk about the other thing that's on that formula. Lifestyle equals assets managed times return on investment minus taxes. Minus taxes is a big piece of that. Now listen, you don't need to make near as much money as an entrepreneur to have the same lifestyle as a person who makes more money than you with a paycheck. And I will tell you, I believe a person who makes about, let's say, $130,000 a year gets a net pay of about 100 grand. Let's say they pay 30 grand in taxes. Their lifestyle is equal to an entrepreneur that makes, it could be 50 grand. I think an entrepreneur can have the same lifestyle on 50 grand. And let me show you why. Let's say you spend $100 a month on your cell phone. If you're getting a paycheck, you have to earn $130 before taxes in order to get paid $100. Then you pay $100 a month to the phone company, and that's it. So it costs you roughly $130 for that phone in gross income, which is what you pay taxes on. But an entrepreneur pays for that phone before they figure their taxes. So the same phone, $100 a month, costs me $70. So instead of having to earn $130 as an employee, as an entrepreneur, I can make $70 and pay for the same phone. Now, that is not an opinion. That's the way it works. My numbers can be off, but it is way less money for the things that are tax deductible that I can tax deduct as an entrepreneur that you can't deduct as an employee. So you don't need to make near as much money as you think you do to have the same lifestyle. So look, I want to review. Employees generate wealth by saving money. That is not how entrepreneurs do it. I'm not saying you can't save money as an entrepreneur. What I am saying is you need to have that money working for you. And sometimes that work is putting in a toilet, and sometimes it's doing the books, sometimes it's answering the phone, and sometimes it's buying another asset that can produce a higher ROI, right? So think about that. When you think about doing something to save yourself money, ask yourself, which mindset am I in? Because I believe you're acting like an employee, and that's not what you want. I think you want to be an entrepreneur. I appreciate you all letting me have this 15 minutes here. I hope that's been helpful. We are going to make a video that's a little longer with a few more points and some better explanations, but that's all the time we got for today, and I appreciate you listening to me. Thank you.